Okay, seems people are starting to join. Um, Hello, good evening. How are you? My name is Dr. Sanabel Alakras, and I am a graduate from Weill Cornell Medical College in 2012. And then I had finished my training in psychiatry, and I opened my own center in July uh, for specialized psychiatric care in Qatar. And I am here today because we're going to talk about the very, very hot topic, which is mental health and mental health of our children, basically, and our adolescents in in digital life, right? And I know that a lot of us, including psychiatrists and experts, by the way, we're all struggling these days with this issue. So it's a big topic, okay, and there is a lot of information around it. So the way I like it to go is interactive. So I'm gonna try to cover as much as I can, and to cover at least the hot issues, especially about how to deal with it, what steps we can do, which most of you, I think, know what to do. But probably we as parents find a lot of difficulties dealing or implementing these steps that we know deep at our heart that we should, right? So I'm seeing a lot of waving, but this means I hope that my voice and the video is clear, right? Okay, so that's how I will be going through it. We will talk first about what do we mean by digital life, okay, and then we will divide it into like a trees, as in the big tree, as in what are the effects usually, and then we can dig into more what are the specific effects on the mental health of children and adolescents. And then we go at the end to the steps that we can do, and then I can receive questions. But please, if you have any question, go ahead and ask me, okay? And if I'll be talking about this issue, I'll tell you that to hold the tone that we're going to talk about it later on, okay? So let's start. So when we talk about digital life, it includes many things, right? So it might include, for example, are we talking about, for example, children watching on their iPads like YouTube or videos, right? Whether it's regardless of the subject of the topic, or what is it talking about, or are we talking about social media? So our children having accounts basically on whether Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat. I think we have a couple of new applications that I'm hearing about today, TikTok and Likey and these applications. Or are we talking about video games, right? So each of these things are included. It comes under the umbrella of digital life, but each of them, if we need a whole talk about each of them and the effects of them. So I'm gonna try combine all of them in general, what they all shared as effects. So when we talk about mental health of children and adolescents, right? So we're talking about basically 4 things. It might be more, but these are the things that I could collect in my mind. Effects on their growth, so literally growth, like as in motor growth, mental growth, quick and speed in learning, all of these things. Second thing, effects on concentration. Okay, because this had really affected the concentration and attention of our children, hyperactivity. Now, the third thing we'll be talking about is violence, okay? And those really letting our children playing, for example, video games or watching videos on YouTube, or watching even the videos on Facebook or stuff like that. That's the one in the middle, that where you can just keep scrolling in videos and you find really inappropriate content or weird things. And the other thing is the effects on social media. sorry, social skills. Okay, so let me talk first about the growth. Okay, so the first thing we've noticed, or at least I noticed in a clinic, that usually the children or the adolescents who are really addicted to digital media, the first thing that gets affected is their sleep. Okay, so we all know how sleep is extremely important. If you're talking about a child who's less than 2 years or even 3 years, you're talking about the need of 11 to 12 hours of sleep every 24 hours, right? And usually these children actually stay awake late at night until like 11 or 12 a.m. If you're talking about adolescents, for example, the same. I am hearing a lot of adolescents that are sleeping or going to bed, for example, by 1 or 2 a.m. Right? So why do I care about sleep? Because sleep that's the time actually where the growth hormone in children gets released. So that's the time where they actually literally their main hormone of growth gets to work. Okay, so it will affect definitely their growth. If you're talking about, like, you know, their shape, their height, their weight, all of these things. The second thing is their learning and attention. We all know that during sleep, everything that we learned during the day gets filed during the night when we are asleep, right? Whether memory, attention, everything, even the calcium gets actually distributed to the cortex during the night. So it's extremely important that we sleep and we reboot that system. Okay, so that's regarding the growth and how does it affect the sleep, and so attention and so forth. Now the second thing we've noticed, that children also who spend a lot of time, can somebody just reassure me that you guys can see me? Or my voice is like I can be heard clearly, because I don't know if I feel I'm getting disconnected somehow. Okay. So the other thing is about their concentration. So we've noticed that a lot of children who are exposed also to digital, whether social media, video games, PlayStation, YouTube, iPads, their concentration and attention span is extremely getting affected, in addition to their hyperactivity, right? So we see, with a lot of cases, we get to the clinic, when we screen them, the picture gets very close to ADHD or attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, right? But when we go more to the history and we do the modification in the lifestyle and the changes that we need with constricting the use of the media or video games or PlayStation, it really inflicts positively on the hyperactivity and the attention, and so the academic performance of children. Okay, and so basically they're not ADHD, but the picture gives you your child looks like he has ADHD, but he doesn't actually has ADHD, but it's the effect of digital life on our children. Okay, and the same goes for adolescents, by the way. Okay, so let's go to violence, and I've had collected some of the studies. I might not go through all of them, but there are actual studies that proves that there is a strong evidence of increase of physical aggression, verbal aggression, and children who are exposed to either aggressive video games or age inappropriate video games or YouTube videos not on the restricted mode. And I would like to tell you something that I had that personal experience with my children specifically. Even if you put YouTube on the restricted mode, you would still get those videos which are not appropriate for your child. So what I want to say to you, that it doesn't mean if I put my YouTube account or something on a restricted mode, you still have to keep supervising and checking the history and see what kind of videos your child opens. Okay. So restricted mode is not enough. Keep your eyes open. You would still get weird videos, even if it's not pictures, by the way. Even the video itself, whatever they're displaying is appropriate, but sometimes the talk is inappropriate. Okay, so you want to join your friend, your child every now and then, or your adolescent, and check what they're really watching, or ask them, or discuss what they're seeing with them. Okay, so there is a meta-analysis of a field study of children in a controlled environment. So these are children basically in a specific schools or institutions. They're studying the association between exposing these children to violent films and short-term violence, and they actually showed association between the exposure of an 8-year-old children and they followed them. So we finished that study. So they found the observational, the environmental study, that there is association between violence and short-term violence and showing or watching violent content. Now the next step was the cohort study. So a cohort study is that you put a group of children and you put a control. So a control group is something you want to compare the two groups together. So a control group will not be exposed to this kind of content or violence in social media or video games, and in another group that you would expose them, and they followed them over years. So they exposed them when they were 8 years old, and they checked at them when they were 30 years old, and they found that these children who were exposed to violent content are twice as likely as the other children who were not exposed to be arrested or involved in police issues and crimes and assaults and these kind of things. Okay, they found there is a weaker association between exposing adolescents who are 18 and 17 years old and their involvement with the police or breaking the rules at age of 30 or getting arrested. Okay, so the younger the age, the worse, basically. They also found that in some countries they noticed, like USA, South Africa, and Canada, that the homicide rates, which are crimes, basically homicide in types, they were doubled 10 to 12 years later after the introduction of TVs. Okay. Now the other thing is, and many other, actually I have a lot of studies that shows a big connection between aggression in children and their exposure to video games, YouTube, and these kind of things. They also did the opposite. So they took children who were exposed to this content and they restricted that over 6 months, and they noticed that, and they found a significant decrease in verbal aggression and physical aggression. Okay, so that's one thing. Now the other thing is, when children witness aggressive solutions to interpersonal problems that they will pass through, actually that's the style, and that's the solution they will use when they have interpersonal issues. Interpersonal issues, what I mean about is that issues or conflicts between people. So me and my friend, me and my mother, me and my father, me and my cousin. Okay, so that's the solution that they will have, or they will depend on to have. So that's regarding violence. So when we go to other things like social skills, again, I am getting children cases that looks exactly like autism. Okay, so I'm tending to diagnose them with autism, but then when we go up again and we ask about who sits with the child, or who spends time with the child, or who plays with the child, who talks with the child, you find that the child, specifically the young age. So if we're talking about autism, we're talking about children like year 2, 3 years old. A lot of children, you notice that by year 1, but by the time the parents come to us, it's later on, like year 2, 3, 4 years old. So you would find that these iPads and videos and stuff were introduced to the child early on, like earlier than 1 year old. Okay, and we don't usually recommend introducing these kind of things, or even letting the child sit on the TV if he's younger or she is younger than 18 months of age. Okay, so what I was telling you is that the social skills get significantly affected. Language delay, specifically in small children, because usually children, we expect that they will start to develop their language from day 1. Okay, day 1 after birth. So it's good always to talk to your child, look in their eyes, and keep talking to them. By 1 year old, they will start to throw words. By 2 years old, they will start to talk in sentences that has 2 words, 3 sentences over 3 words. So we noticed that also children who were exposed extensively to these kind of digital media, it will lead to develop social skills delay, and also language delay. And the proof to that is that when we take the child and we restrict all these kind of things, and we put them in an environment that there is a lot of interaction, like a nursery, for example, okay, or like the parents, they change their time and they give them more time at home, more of quality time with them, the child reverses. They pick up whether with their language delay or social delay. So we realized that this was not in the first place autism. It was literally a wrong environment that the child was put in. Okay, so let's go to let me see how much time we have. So let me see if you guys have any questions so far regarding the effects. Should I go to what can we do with our children, like what steps we can take to restrict this use, and how can you start doing that? Okay, so no questions. Okay, so let's go to acting. How are we gonna act to protect our children? Okay, so in every house there must be an infrastructure in the house. An infrastructure, it means you must have that board with the rules and the expectations from your children, whether they're 1 or 2 years old or they're adolescents. Okay, so you must have that rules. You sit all together with them and you write them. So for example, Ahmed is expected to have, for example, the PlayStation every day from this time to this time. You're expected to finish your homework from this time to this time. You're supposed to wake up at this time. You're supposed to do your chores, all of these. If he's older, for example, I don't know, whatever name he is, if he's older, like 13, 14 years old, the timing is going to be different. Okay, so you have to have that infrastructure. The children and adolescents, they have to know what's expected from them, and if they don't do what's expected from them, what is the punishment and what is the reward. Okay, even if your child, for example, you would tell me, oh, my child now spends like 6 or 8 hours on social media, or they're using their phones, or they sleep with their phone beside them in bed, or they're playing on PlayStation for 8 hours, 6 hours. Okay, you still can make a change. You would meet all of them. You would first meet with their mother, or the father meets with the mother, for example. You both meet together, you put the rules together, you sit with them, you bring that board and you write the rules. Okay, and go from the expected time for them. يعني you can go from 8 hours to 2 hours. It's fine. The first 1 to 2 weeks up to 1 month, it might be hell to you until they understand that you're really serious about the rules that you're putting and you're gonna follow it through. Okay? Whatever that takes from you. You take the remote, you take the phones, whatever you can do. These are your children. And we should all understand that as long as we came and we decided to bring children and new souls to this life, then it's our responsibility to protect them, whatever it takes from us. Okay? They will, if they don't understand now, in the future they will understand what we're doing. Okay? So the first thing is these rules. The location of the TV, it has to be in a common area. Okay? You cannot allow adolescents or children having TVs in their own rooms without supervision. It has to be in the living room and in a place where anybody who's passing by can see whatever is happening on the TV. Phones, computers are the same. You should have a common area in the house where these children and adolescents can use these stuff. Okay, so they cannot take their phones to their rooms. Even if you trust your children, most of the time it's not that we don't trust our children, but there is a whole lot of word there we see through these screens that might be really, really risky for your children. Okay, so it's really important. Plus, and I've talked about this before, either pedophiles, criminals, rapists, molestation. Okay, I mean, what is a better place to find victims and hunt them other than the social media? You're behind the screen, you're talking to somebody who's much young, not experienced, don't know what's happening. They might be not aware of the real risks outside, and you can easily hunt them, right? So it's really important to keep this in your mind. Okay, so you have to have a common area in your place where all your children, whether they're children or adolescents, they can use their phones, their screens, their iPads, their computers, TV, PlayStation. This is all in one place. Okay, no use in their own rooms. Phones cannot go to their own rooms. Make a basket in your house, or if your children are really like they can make you sleep and go in the night and take something from that basket, a box closed in your room, or I would say a box that you can look and put it in your room, and you put all of these things, all of them, they have to submit them before they sleep. Okay. Now, this is number one. Number two, duration of the use. Okay, so limit it to less than 1 to 2 hours. So maximum 2 hours. Don't let it go beyond that. Okay. Of course, the older they are, you can be more flexible with it. But for young children specifically, make it less than 1 to 2 hours, and keep in your mind that we do not recommend introducing either TV or iPads or any kind of media to children less than 18 months old. And that's very important because that's a very sensitive time where they're starting to develop their language, they're starting to develop their social skills. Okay, and don't tell me if it's a video, so they're listening to something or they're seeing. It's different. It is different. We are human beings. We're social creatures. We need eye contact. We need real people that we can talk to. We need back and forth conversations. Even children who do not talk, by the way, they can still communicate with you. So it's extremely important. Do not expose your children beyond 18 months. And my own personal experience as a psychiatrist, the longer you can delay it, the better. Okay? Okay, so number 3 is make a list. Let each of your children or adolescent make a list of their favorite shows, either TV shows, programs they like to use on their phones, and also favorite activities. Okay, so once they have free time, or they finish the 1 or 2 hours on the media, you wouldn't be running around the house with them thinking that we're bored and we don't know what to do and blah blah blah, all of these things. Have a schedule. Like from this time to this time, homework. This time to this time, PlayStation. This time to this time, you can have 30 minutes on your phone. This time to this time, we're going to swim or walking or visiting the neighbors or whatever you want to do. Okay, let them choose. Yani give them the option to choose from these things. Now, the other things is monitoring. So it has to be in the restricted mode, and even if it's a restricted mode, and that happened with me personally, if you guys remember, I don't know if I'm talking so much. Okay, it's 6:30, so we still have time. So I'm gonna go for 15 minutes and then I'm gonna receive questions. If you remember, at some point there was a lot of videos for younger children about Spider-Man, Elsa, I don't know, these kind of characters, which are really cartoon characters. But then when you look at the content of the video, it's totally inappropriate. Like Elsa would be pregnant and Spider-Man would help her in delivering. I don't know, it was a mess, okay? And these videos would still appear to the child even if you put your account on an restricted mode. Okay, now I don't know, but for the past year they totally disappeared, these videos. I don't see them again. The only thing that I've done, because whatever I did, restricted mode, change the country, from the settings, they would still get them. I opened the video in front of them and I sat with them and I started discussing what is appropriate and what is not appropriate to watch. Okay, because that's the only way I can protect them. I protect them. I have to explain to them. And my children were at that time, I think 5 and 3.5, something like this, or 6 and 3.5. I don't remember. Okay, and I explained to them. Until now, when they watch something inappropriate, they'll come and talk to me. And be careful of your first reaction when they come and tell you that they're watching something inappropriate. Be calm, listen to them, watch it with them, and discuss it, because that's what's gonna determine later on in the future if they're gonna come back to you if they see something inappropriate, or they will be afraid from your reaction and they will not come back to you. Okay, always remember that the most important thing, whether with our children or with our adolescents, is that you want to protect them as much as you can, so they pass through that stage without disasters. Okay, they will do mistakes, they will be exposed to such things, but as long as there is a channel of talk between you and your child or your adolescent, you can make it. Okay, you can pass through that period of time without disasters. And even if disasters happen, the stronger the connection between you and them, the more you can actually pull them back towards you, and don't let them sink there wherever that mistake drag them to. Okay, so never give up on your child, never. Now, the other thing is, we talked about the monitoring. So not only the restricted mode, you need to go back to the history. You need to keep checking on your children's phones, okay? And explain to them that I'm not doing this because I don't trust you. It's because I'm afraid about you. And I know what's there, okay? And I'm telling you, as long as your reactions are calm and there is a channel of talk, the less you need to monitor, because they will come to you and they will tell you. When they're young, our children, when they're young, they don't do mistakes because they're probably afraid. And because they're looking for rules, they're looking for that structure. They want to do the right thing. When they're adolescents, it's not fear. It's actually their love to you and their father, or if I'm talking to a father, and their mother, is what's gonna pull them back towards you, is what's gonna push them to come to you and tell you that I'm doing this and this and this wrong. Okay, it's the love, it's the respect between you and them. It's the fact that they don't want to disappoint you. Okay, so it's not the fear when they reach adolescence stage. Okay, so avoid any violent content if your children is less than 5 years old. And again, a personal a personal advice from myself to you, avoid it as long as you can. Do not introduce it to them as long as you can. Okay? And even if they do, like Fortnite, for example. So Fortnite, it's the concept of it is violent because you have to kill everybody else until one person is left, which is supposed to be you, right? But I haven't seen violent actions. I haven't seen like boxing, like the fight games, for example. That to me is very violent. Despite that, their rating would be like 7+ or something, I think. The wrestling, I mean. In Fortnite, and I'm not encouraging you to let your child play Fortnite, but in case they're already playing it, it's not something. I don't see violent shows. Like I don't see blood, I don't see killing. Other than like you do see the guns thing. But if you watch children, even when they're 3 or 4 years old, they like to play with guns. So. But I don't see blood. When the person die, they just, I don't know, they suck them out or something. But other games, I do see blood. I do see like the wrestling is really violent. Facebook, I really urge you, do not let adolescents to have accounts on social media. Social media now is totally inappropriate. It's not being monitored. As I told you, if you open the video rolls, you see like disastrous videos, whether it's Arabic or Western like series or movies or something, or horror movies. Like there are things that we as adults we cannot really watch. Okay. Now the other advice would be for me, number 7, watch with your friend, with your children, whatever they're watching, or adolescents. Make movie nights. Sit with them in the living room. Watch it, discuss it, because a lot of studies have showed that if watching violent content from children alone is much worse than like it does increase the violent behavior or the aggressive behavior, while watching it with parents and having a discussion about it does not really increase. They could not find an association. Okay, so watch with your friend, with your children, wherever they're watching, and discuss it with them, because you're watching it with them and you're explaining to them why this is wrong, why this is okay, why this is not okay, why this is not acceptable in the society. Okay, and again, back and forth discussion, and it's not like a lecture. Okay, it's not lecturing, you're discussing. So listen, let them talk about what they think about it. Ask them, what do you think about this behavior? Can we do this? Like for example, in Fortnite, discuss with your child, can you do this in real life? Can you go kill all your friends so you're the only one alive between them? See what they're thinking and how they're rationalizing, and what's the thinking process, and then you can change it. You talk about it. You explain to them why this is not agreeable, why this is not acceptable, what are the consequences in real life if you do something like this. Okay. Play games with your children. Fathers specifically, if your child plays video games, play with them. Please play with them, enjoy it with them. Let the child inside you comes out. Okay, it's gonna really be beneficial. It will help bonding with each other. It will make your child more comfortable being around you and play with you. Okay, you're creating that friendship between you and them, again, without breaking the respectful manners that you are expecting it from them. Okay. Encourage alternative programs. So for example, my child is not gonna go swim if I keep telling them, oh, why don't you swim? You should swim. Go swim with them. Okay. Do a reservation and go swim with them. Go into the pool with them. That's gonna help. Okay. And don't send the nannies. So nannies are not their mothers. I understand that all of us are really pressured, and all of us having work and a lot of things to take care of. But there is nothing more important and has a stronger priority than your children. These are souls you brought to life. It's your responsibility. Okay, nannies, whatever they do, they will not be like you. They will not be a substitution for you, even babysitters. Okay, because that bond, those emotions, if you don't build them early on, you will not be able to build them later. Okay, and I talked about the restricted mode. I think I've talked about everything I wanted to talk about. I don't think I have nothing. I don't think I have something to add. Maybe I can start taking questions if you have. Ask me any questions you want, and we can go through it. So I'm gonna wait for like 3 minutes for questions. Okay. Any specific questions? How to deal with them? How to monitor them? About the effects of social media on children? Not social media, but I mean video games. I'm not seeing questions. Ask questions, you guys. Anything. Okay, seems that people don't have questions. So I think I'm gonna end it at this point. I hope you guys all enjoyed it. I hope it was beneficial to you. And my Instagram is there as Sanabel Psychiatric Center. You can write it in English and Arabic. Please ask me any questions or any help you need with anything. Okay. And good night for you all. Bye-bye.